All right. Hi, everyone. My name is John DeAngelis, and I'm the Community Relations Coordinator here at Hudson Valley Credit Union. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm really excited to be putting on this webinar for everyone. I'm joined today by Michelle Quock and Nicole Beveridge from Vassar College here in Poughkeepsie, New York. Today, we're going to be talking about Student Spotlight, Insights to Campus Life. We're kind of going to be going over everything that students need to know, especially incoming freshmen who are going to be living on campus for the first time or possibly commuting, what they can expect for their first semester, and what they can expect for their entire college career. So with that, we're going to get started. Thank you again, Michelle and Nicole, for being here with me today. Why don't you both give me a little bit of background information on your experiences? Michelle, we'll start with you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so my name is Michelle Quock. I am currently the director of the Transitions program here at Vassar College in Poughkeepsie, New York. And the office supports low-income, first-generation, and/or undocumented students. I got here in July of last year, and prior to that, I've been in higher ed for who knows how long, but mostly in residence life and housing. And I, too, myself, when I went to college, was a first-gen low-income student. So this area holds very dearly to my heart. Born and raised in New York City, went to school, got my bachelor's and master's degree at SUNY New Paltz, which is the State University of New York university. And now currently live in the Hudson Valley. And I enjoy outdoors and traveling. That's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle. We're really glad to have you here. And Nicole, how about you?
My name is Nicole Beveridge. I am the director of the Alana Center at Vassar College. Well, the full name for the center is the J. Vincent Johnson Alana Cultural Center. And it's home to approximately 19 student orgs. I have been at Vassar in this role since September, so it's almost a year, but I had other opportunities to teach at Vassar, prior to this full-time role. So I have been in higher education for almost 2 decades. I spent 14 of those years in a full-time role as a faculty member with the City University of New York. So this bridge, I like to say, between faculty and student affairs. So I've always been that kind of a professional. I was born and raised in Montego Bay, Jamaica, and I now reside in Beacon in the Hudson Valley. I do enjoy traveling, event planning, cooking, and just interior decorating. So that's a little about me.
That's awesome. That's so great. Thank you both again for being here with me today. I have to say, I'm a huge fan of Beacon. I am there every single weekend. It's such a great city. And Michelle, also, I lived in New York City for a few years. I actually went to the Fashion Institute. So I was living down in Chelsea. Again, another great city. Love it. So with that, I should also mention that we are going to be joined by Lisa DeRose, HVCU branch manager of our Brewster and Carmel branches later on today. She's going to be speaking about the financial side of what students can expect during their first semester at college. But for right now, we're going to be speaking with Michelle and Nicole about how students can get acclimated, especially freshmen, during their first semester. So I have to say, as a recent college graduate myself, I'm really excited for you guys to be here and be talking about this because I feel like there is so much information out there that students really need to know about what to expect during their first semester at college. I know personally that I had an idea in my head of what to expect, and some of it was right, but there were also a lot of new things that I learned during my first semester. This is really a huge transitional moment for graduating seniors. I know for me, again, I went to FIT, I came from a small town, I'm going to a big city. So there was a lot of different change. But Michelle and Nicole, can you kind of go into what kind of changes students can expect during their first semester at college? Is it navigating, new types of classes? Is it navigating the culture of the college? What can they really expect when it comes down to the transition?
I think for me, it's all of the above that you mentioned: the academic rigor, the class schedules, being a part of a residential campus, a new state, a new country for many, because we do have a large international student population at Vassar as well. And just simple time management, right? You know, there's a set time for these classes, right? Not that they're not accustomed to that from high school, but, you know, they can expect a professor to probably reach out to say, hey, you missed my class today. So just bearing in mind too, that the times that classes start and end and where you need to be, separate buildings, right? You know, so this is something that may be new for them. I remember speaking with one of my students recently, and in his first year, he shared that the codes that were used for the days that classes meet just really threw him for a loop. So the class met Tuesdays and Thursdays, and he saw the T, and it was T and R, and he thought, okay, he didn't understand what the R meant, so he just went to the Tuesday class and he missed the Thursday class, right? Because as far as he's concerned, you know, no day of the week starts with R, you know, so he missed that and he got an email from his professor. So I think all of the above are important: the time management, the academic rigor, the scheduling, the campus culture, you know, meeting new people, right? And just this residential campus, many of them are new to that. Many students, many first year or even transfer students are new to that kind of a setting, you know, just living with others, living in a new state, and also living in a new country.
Right. That's great. Yeah. And Michelle?
Yeah, I would just echo what Nicole said, and just, you know, there's fun involved too. There's a lot of free time, so you want to make use of it and take advantage of many of the activities and resources on campus. There's never a dull moment most of the time when you're in college. You'll meet a lot of new people from around the world, and just transitioning from high school to college is learning how to be independent too. You're going to do your own laundry. You're going to eat when you want to eat. You know, be able to go to places with friends and with campus organizations or clubs, and learn new skills that you didn't think you would, you know, get a chance to do. But that's also up to the student and being open to exploring their curiosities.
I totally agree with that. I mean, it was a big transition for me, like I said, going from a very small town to this huge city, and everything that you both just mentioned between the college culture, trying to find the classes. I can't tell you how many times I walked into a class that was not mine, and it was like every single semester this happened. I was like, I should be used to this by now, but definitely like my first semester, it was very challenging. So thank you for that. Next, I kind of wanted to talk about, you know, how students can really get to know each other before they arrive on campus, right? So a lot of times they might be a little bit intimidated by making new friends. They might be trying to find a roommate in their dorms. They don't really know what to expect with that entire process. So are there ways for students to connect with each other before they arrive on campus for the first time? Do you recommend it? And if so, or if you do or you don't, why?
Yeah, I'll start first. Most colleges, it depends on what university you're going to be attending, but most colleges have a summer program that are for incoming students. They have some faculty-led courses just to give, you know, high school seniors, recently high school graduated seniors, to a taste of what college course might look and feel like. So that's something to take advantage of if the university offers that. Another way is orientation programs. I don't know of a college, even community college now has orientation programs for their first year students. That's another way to immerse yourself into campus culture and start meeting your peers and establish some of those relationships and friendships. And social media handles. We live in, you know, the virtual world now, where a lot of our social interactions are through Instagram or Facebook, et cetera. And many universities and colleges utilize that right from when you first get accepted. to the college. And so that's another great way to meet folks who are either going to attend the college with you or thinking about going to attend the college with you. Other things that, there's a combination obviously of virtual and in-person approaches. And overall, the earlier the opportunity to engage with your university or college, the better. That's my best piece of advice. Just get right in there and start meeting folks, not just your peers, but opportunities to meet with other staff, administrators, and faculty that you will be, working with when you arrive to campus.
Great. Yeah, no, that's really good advice. Nicole, anything to add to that?
Yeah, all that Michelle said, but just one little thing probably specific to Vassar that I appreciated was they do have a program. I think it's the admissions office that has a program called Venture to Vassar. And other campus partners have the opportunity to meet with parents and prospective students. So many of these students, it's almost like an admissions fair. Many of these students have already accepted, right? They know that they're coming, but many are still on the fence. Do I come to Vassar? Do I go elsewhere, right? And this is an opportunity to meet the campus partners, to meet with other students, and to find out, what does the college really offer? Why should I, come to Vassar as opposed to Penn State or, some other institution? So students really get the opportunity to meet with other students, to hear from other offices, and, just to see who the campus partners are, and to gain any additional information that would help in their decision making.
That's
And
great.
I really appreciated that.
Yeah, that's a really good program. I've actually have not heard of something like that before. I've always heard of like welcome days. Once you get in and you get down there, you can go, meet your new teacher, your new professors, I should say, get a small little idea of what the campus is going to look like. But to actually have a day where students are going to be, kind of convinced as to why they should come, not only
Yeah.
students, but their parents also. I think that influences, a huge decision there. So that's a really great program. I'm glad to hear that. So now we're going to kind of talk about the transition movement as we go down the line. So, you already got into college, you're all packed up, you have your dorm list ready, you're ready to hit the road. So now comes move-in day. I remember my move-in day being both really exciting and extremely stressful at the same time. Thanks, Dad, for that. But at the same time, a lot of people are really looking forward to it, but kind of like me, they're also very stressed out about it. So how can students make their move-in process a little bit more simple and a lot more stress-free? What should they be thinking of ahead of time, and how can they plan their move-in, again, to be less stressful than it needs to be?
I would say they need to start early, right? Plan for it. So, get parents, get or family involved, and friends. Definitely try to arrive at campus early. Personally, I've never lived on a residential campus.
Mhm.
So I understand the stress of, getting in a new space, living with a roommate. I see where students may be required to remain open, right, to their roommates. Um, ask as many questions. I encourage students to ask as many questions, get to know each other very early on. I'm a big supporter of wayfinding, because I get lost easily, right? So I think wayfinding, knowing the campus map, right? Knowing where your classes are being held. Students need to know where classes are being held, the different buildings, where to eat, all of that, attend. I would recommend that they attend all of those first events. So the receptions, right, that are happening across campus, the open houses, right, the different offices, the residence hall meetings are very important places to be, right, for these incoming freshmen. And Michelle, anything else that I missed?
Yeah, I mean, you know, like I said before, residence life and housing was my over 10 years of experience there. So I'd say, you know, look out for those emails over the summer, because the housing department do send lots of information, multiple check-in points over email, just to say, okay, here's how to pick your roommate if that's an option. Here's a packing list or suggested packing list. Here's your actual check-in instruction, right? Every university has a different process. Some might give you a check-in actual scheduled time, or others might just be an open day and you come whenever that day. So just pay attention to those communications. And then obviously, if you need clarification, feel free to email them and they'll be happy to answer that. As well as when you actually arrive, you know, having help to actually move stuff into your room is, if you can, bring someone with you to help you move into your room. Get a sense, if you haven't already received the tour, to see what the room looks like. They usually have virtual tours now on the websites, so you get a sense of how big or how small the room might be. Don't bring everything with you. You do not have enough room to bring your whole room with you, so leave some stuff at home. And be open to you're going to meet so many folks, not just your roommate, but people in your hallway and in your communities and in your residence hall. So just be open to meeting new folks and introduce yourself and tell them who you are, where you're from. And attending those meetings the first couple of weeks is really important, because they really lay out some ground rules so you know what to do and what not to do. There are rules still at the school, and we expect everyone to live, you know, respectfully amongst one another. And, you know, make it fun. Bring plenty of water, because it's going to be hot during move-in day, usually, depending on where you go to school, but most of the time it's hot. And take your time on move-in day to, you know, if you have family moving in, helping you move in, take time to explore campus with them. You know, your family members will appreciate knowing where some of your classes are, where you live. They want to help you, you know, settle into your room a little bit. Give them space and time to do that with them, and then they gotta go, and you're gonna be there on your own with the rest of your peers. So,
Right.
you know, just it's their last moment with you, so cherish that.
Yeah.
Not last moment, but it's a big one. It's a move-in
Yeah.
day before they go home, and you're not going to be home with them, right? So
Right. It's a transitional moment for everybody involved, for sure. I mean, I am the last child in my family. I'm the baby. So on my
Mhm.
move-in day, it was a lot of tears, me included. So definitely like take that time to, you know, spend time with your family, get to know the area, get to know the campus. But you also brought up a really good point, Michelle, about campus rules and regulations and stuff like that. You know, I know for a fact over the past couple of years with the pandemic and other different social factors, there's been a lot of changes to campus security. So what can students kind of expect now in 2022 and going forward when it comes to campus security, dorm rules, things like that? Was it more pre-relaxed? Was it more relaxed pre-pandemic, or has it continued to about stay the same, or what's the deal?
you know, I think the pandemic you're just sort of always on your toes, and you have to pivot wherever the next guidelines take you. So it's just really the best advice is to stay on top of what the most up-to-date policies are at your school or university. There is a lot of autonomy to each university to make their guidelines, although we rely on each other to make informed decisions, and the CDC. But just in general, there's always going to be, at any college you attend, a college handbook. I suggest that you read the college handbook. It outlines everything from academic, social to, you know, living on campus. In addition, there's a housing handbook that usually is overseen by the housing office. And that's specifically our rules and guidelines about living on campus. And your campus safety will, if there are any big announcements or updates, they will communicate that to you with all of their methods, whether it's email, social media, um, you know, maybe postings on the website, all of the above. So just staying up to date with that is really important.
Yeah.
Nicole, anything to add to that?
And just one quick point, again, being very specific to Vassar and just other institutions that I've been at, like the presidents and the provosts are usually very quick to provide updates to, the entire campus, right? Regarding changes based on CDC's policies, or if there's an outbreak, whether it's not just COVID, but gastroenteritis, or some other infection or situation that's happening across campus. So paying close attention to those announcements and updates from the senior leadership team is very important.
Yeah, that's a great point to mention. And on top of, campus security and dorm rules and things like that, if a student is having an issue with their roommate, what's the protocol for that? Who do they go to, and are they allowed to find another roommate? I know that might vary from college. Excuse me, that might vary from college to college, but what's the general overall process for that?
Go for it,
Yeah,
Michelle.
yeah, all right. Because I used to write these protocols. We always encourage students to approach their roommate directly first, use their own interpersonal and mediation skills, be really clear with their communication. I find often that it's just there's a miscommunication and or no communication sometimes. And so just, sitting down with your roommate and saying, using I statements and saying, this is how I'm feeling. This is an example of why I feel this way. And if that's not successful, every residence hall program has support staff. It starts with the resident assistant or some sort of student leader within your house or your residence hall. And then they too report to a residence hall director or someone more professional that's a full-time employee. So utilize the support staff. They will help you. Maybe they can prep you on how to approach your roommate and talk to your roommate first. And if that doesn't work out, then your RA or your RD can help with a mediation meeting of some sort. Last resort, yes, there are room changes. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. Lifestyles don't match. But every school and college has their own room change policy and protocol in place. If there's a space, we'll try to find and make accommodations for you. I always advise students, though, make sure you know who the new person might be, because it might be either the same situation or worse situation. So you don't want to remove yourself from what presently is a conflict and then just go into another one either. So sometimes room changes are not always the solution. And just being open to learning and listening to one another in general is good practice.
Awesome. And Nicole, anything to add to that?
I echo everything Michelle said. Also, not, since I've never lived on a residential campus, I see how these things happen. So it's also, my advice would be knowing yourself, as well. And the first step, the mediation skills, you want to be able to speak to the person. Just this past 2 weeks, I was instrumental in having to move 2 students, right, for a summer program because there was imminent danger. And oftentimes when that is the case, I am not waiting. I will not wait, because if there is a threat or any form of harm, I want students to be comfortable, right? You do not want things to escalate and getting parents involved and the media and all of that. So yeah, I agree with Michelle. The mediation skills are very important. Speaking to your roommate directly, but then there are also times when, like we just have to do this right now. Yeah.
Moving along a little bit, so we're all moved in, classes are getting ready to start. It's the first week on campus. Do freshmen typically arrive on campus about a week or so beforehand? I know I did, and that's when all the fun things happen, right? There's all the icebreakers, there's all the campus parties, so to speak, welcome parties. I always had a hard time doing the icebreakers. Even to this day, I still struggle with it. Why do you think it's so important that students attend these events, and how do these events kind of prepare them for, the future, for their careers, like especially the icebreakers?
I think it introduces freshmen to the campus. It really gets them more acclimated when they're able to attend all of these receptions, these welcome receptions, these open houses, right? And it provides a safe space. So while, they may be nervous, about the icebreakers and, what they're going to say or not knowing what to say, it's really, it creates a sense of belonging and also social bonding. So when people introduce themselves, oh, you're from New York too, you're from New York City, or I didn't know you were from Arizona. So then, all these connections are being made. Right. So students now feel a little more comfortable in these spaces after attending probably one or two. Yeah, I can just be myself. And they somehow get the gist of how to respond, right? Like you don't have to be long and elaborate and, very academic, right? You can just be yourself and, introduce yourself. And, because it does provide a sense of belonging and bonding. So you remember who was sitting at your table, right? And who you passed it to, that sort of a thing. Yeah.
Definitely,
I think
totally agree.
that's very important.
And as far as like the campus goes and navigating the campus, what are some key departments that students should really be familiarizing themselves with?
I would say being a foodie,
Mhm.
dining and food locations, just different areas where you can get food, just really being a residential campus. There are students who study with food, they're up at different times. And if the main dining area is closed, there needs to be other food locations. And these could just be vending machines as well, right? Or even just access to just off campus, that's also close to the college. So dining and food locations, I think the library, the financial aid office, these are very important spaces. The counseling center, right? Counseling services, an excellent resource for students who may just be going through, just missing home or just having some form of anxiety and they just need to talk through some things with a counselor. Res life, athletics, right? So you do not necessarily have to be an athlete, but just working out, knowing where the gym is, right? It is very important if you wanted to do some swimming, right? The student centers, which Michelle and I are a part of, right? Very student facing. So students are always in our spaces, right? And faculty offices. So they're going to their classes. It's important to know where their faculty offices are because usually most faculty members conduct office hours in their office,
Very true.
right? There are a few who will say, okay, I'll do this after the class if they are not running to another class, right? The career development office, it's very important. It's an office that students need to know about during their freshman year because sometimes there are programs, right? There are jobs, there are internship opportunities, there are special programs that they can apply for. And from time to time, alumni visit the campus and they would want to be a part of that experience, hearing from someone who, actually, went through their institution. What was their experience like? Just sharing from them.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely covered a lot of, departments there. Michelle, did you have anything to add to that?
Probably just card services and computer
That's a good
services
one.
when you first get there to, get yourself set up with the login Wi-Fi and access to your room and all of that. But once that's set, you're good to go. So
There's also a lot of different clubs to choose from when it comes to, college. At FIT, we actually had a hula hoop club. It was pretty cool. And actually, everyone was there was very talented, I have to say. So what kind of clubs do a lot of colleges offer, and what are some of the benefits of joining these clubs?
I haven't been to a college or worked at a college where there wasn't a club for someone. There are hundreds at every college and institution to choose from. It's actually more difficult to choose which one you want to participate and engage in all year round because there are so many. And the beauty of it is if there isn't one for you, you can create one. I've had many students who went to their campus activities or student activity center and said, I want to create this club. And they said, okay. And
Yeah,
it happened. So if there's not one that you have interest in or find an interest in, you can always create your own as well. But join the ones that align with your interests and hobbies. But at the same time, choose one or two that maybe you're just curious about, that maybe it might be your interest or your hobby, and you might surprise yourself. Choose a social one or two social one and one academic one. I think for first years, they're very eager to get involved in everything, and you won't have time to do it. I know I said you have a lot of time, but not that much time where you could
yeah.
be doing everything. So you're going to have to choose, and that doesn't mean that you're going to stick with that forever. You can change your mind and choose another one your sophomore year and another one your junior year, etc. So you have some time, and so explore, but take your time in exploring. It's also a really good resume builder and a networking opportunity. When you attend these clubs and organizations, you have leadership opportunities because they most of the time have e-board committees.
Mhm.
So there's an opportunity for you to take a position on an e-board committee, or just as a participant and meet new folks and make friends through these similar interests. And it's a good way to add it into your resume, which, like Nicole said before, career development office is something you should connect with your freshman year. If you don't have a resume, you should have one by your freshman year.
Definitely agree. And Nicole, I know you're really involved with a lot of the campus clubs and things like that. So anything to echo or add to what Michelle said?
Sure, I'll just quickly add that students need to be reminded that they're students first. So
Right.
if I may just put on my academic hat for a while, right? You cannot tell your professor that I did not do my assignment because I was at this club or that club last night. That's definitely not gonna fly, right? You're not going to get a pass on that one. But while, we want students to be engaged and, just really have a balanced life, just being mindful that you're a student first. So while the programs are in place and the clubs are available, they're not going anywhere. We want you to be involved, but what's your purpose for being there, right? So you're a student first, and the academics are usually a little higher on the scale, when compared to the social aspect of things. So yes, a balance, it's definitely important.
Yes, definitely. And, just to echo that, a lot of times it is hard to balance your courses and the extracurricular activities that you might be participating in, whether it's a club or you're on a sports team, and that can really take a toll on on a student's mental health. So if a student is having some sort of a mental health issue, where do they go for that? Do they go to a counselor? What kind of resources are available on campus for students?
Sometimes they're counselors, they're staff therapists, right? Depending on the nature of the situation and the time of year, there's also a crisis hotline.
Okay.
There are some institutions where counseling staff are not 12-month employees, they're 10-month, 9 and 10-month employees. So you find that they may not be in the office to do one-to-one counseling with students. These therapists may be away. So there are other administrators who are qualified and capable to do this work. They are the ones that usually mediate the situation. But like I said, depending on the time of year, right, or the time of day specifically, the crisis hotline is usually available, at most institutions. There's also an on-call administrator that, assists with these situations as it pertains to mental health. And last but by no means least, the campus safety, right? Yeah.
And that's kind of where, Michelle, you come in with the Res Life experience. From a Res Life perspective, what do you think where should students go? As far as like what Nicole just said, to a counselor, do they go to their RA? What's the protocol?
Yeah, I mean, in res life and housing, there's always someone on call 24/7. So when in doubt, call and they will let you know and direct you to the next person and or, work with you and just talk to you. So your RA is always a good start. And then there's always administrators on call. So there is a protocol in place no matter what school you go to. And we also do a lot of collectively, not just in Res Life, but campus wide, a lot of proactive measures too, right? So, like Nicole mentioned, having a nice balance between social and academic, you want to have a wellness balance too, and attending to your self care needs to make sure that we don't get into that crisis mode.
Right, definitely. I definitely agree with that. Balance is key, and making sure that you're putting yourself first is absolutely key when you're in these high pressure situations. So thank you so much for all of that information. Before we wrap up, I just wanted to see if you guys had a piece of advice that you'd like to share with our viewers, maybe a big lesson that you learned in college that you feel is really important, or any just general life advice as these students go into their freshman year. Nicole, why don't we start with you?
Be open and give yourself space and grace to learn new things.
Yes, definitely. And Michelle?
There are a lot of resources and supporters for you, whatever college you choose to attend. So take advantage of it and connect with them and utilize them. Ask lots of questions. There's no dumb question. And just be yourself. This is the time, the 4 years that you'll be at college to be whoever you want to be and what you strive to be. So be yourself. And yeah, that you'll thrive just by being yourself.
Definitely. I love both of those statements. So thank you both so much for being here today. I'm so glad that you were able to come and speak on this. I think this is going to be so beneficial for so many students out there, not only in New York State, but beyond, whoever's watching it, wherever they are. This is really, really awesome information. And thank you guys so much again for being here. So in a little bit, we're going to be meeting with Lisa DeRose, the Hudson Valley Credit Union Brewster and Carmel branch manager. She's going to be speaking on the financial side of things, how to prepare financially for college, and also how to maintain your money and manage your money while you're in college. We'll be with her soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.